Hi guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're celebrating Women's History Month for March. I and some of my fellow BookTube creators are going to be recommending books to you that celebrate women in history through nonfiction and fiction. A couple of months ago, I got an email about a new book that was coming out, and that was sort of the inspiration for this video, and I want to share that book with you. This is a book that was sent to me for review, but I absolutely loved it, and I think it is well worth picking up. This is Noisemakers, 25 Women Who Raised Their Voices and Changed the World. So this is a really cool project, but I also think it's really well executed. It is a graphic nonfiction work that is middle grade for 8 to 12-year-olds, but I think anybody could enjoy it. And it talks about 25 different women, and each woman has a few pages dedicated to her, and each one is illustrated by a female or non-binary graphic artist. I love the project of this. I think it's really cool. Having read it, I just think the way that it's done is so effective. Some of these stories are so inspiring. And while there are a few women in here that you maybe have heard of before, like Rosa Parks or Eleanor Roosevelt, there are also some that I had never heard stories of before. As an example, Rhea Montagu is an African-American woman who was a naval ship designer who I never knew about. And one thing that I really like about the way the book is formatted is it offers for young readers a list of things that you might have in common with this person, like I'm a quick learner. If I watch carefully, I understand how things work. I like designing things and making them better. And the women that they've chosen for the collection are such an interesting combination of professions, of personalities. There's everything from a performer who was also a secret spy to a woman who lived alone on a mountain watching out for forest fires. And these are women who were groundbreaking in their fields and all just incredibly powerful and inspiring. So I ended up really loving this book. I think for Women's History Month especially, this is such a great one to pick up. And if you have young people in your life, it's a really inspiring one to have, and it's just really beautiful, and I love all the different art styles in it. I do have one other book recommendation for you guys because I couldn't just have one for Women's History Month, and I will give that to you at the end of this video. But before I get to that, I'm going to share with you clips from some of my collaborators. These are from other really wonderful booktubers and creators who have amazing recommendations if you are looking for books that celebrate women in history. Again, I left this pretty open. This could have been fiction or nonfiction, interpreted however they wanted. So here are those clips. Thank you so much to everybody who participated.
Hey Bethany, hey friends, my name is Bree and I create videos over on the channel Bree Hill, and I am a romance reader. So my recommendation is going to go to Beverly Jenkins's Rebel, which is book 1 in her Women Who Dare series. Beverly Jenkins she's a wonderful historical romance author, you guys. Honestly, if you can get your hands on anything by her, I promise you, you will not be disappointed. But if you're looking for a really specific place to start, I cannot recommend Rebel enough. This is a Reconstruction era romance between our heroine Valinda Lacey, who is originally from New York State, and Captain Drake Levesque. And Valinda makes her way down to the city of New Orleans, and she is determined to help newly freed people of color to learn how to read. She is a teacher, and she's just so passionate about helping this newfound community of hers. And while the romance between her and Drake is amazing, I feel like Beverly Jenkins just does what she does best. She really shines the light on different time periods of African-American history that we really don't learn that much of in school. She has been known to talk about how in the American school system, we basically learn about slavery and the civil rights movement, and that is it. And she just really tries to put her stories in all those other times in between that we really don't get to focus on. And I just loved seeing this romance. It's set in New Orleans, which back in the day was a very, very dangerous city. There's so much racial tension, there's so much colorism tension, and it's just really wonderful. It's one of those books that when you finish it, you are completely satisfied. And I remember reading it and I was just like, Valinda's not even from New Orleans. She does not have to be here. Why doesn't she leave? But her purpose of wanting to help people learn how to read, it just really showcases how powerful being able to read is, and how I think sometimes we take it for granted because it's just something that we all naturally have that ability to do these days. But her purpose was so much bigger than hers. And then obviously the romance was just the icing on the cake. So really recommend this book. Again, the new book is coming out very, very soon, so you have plenty of time to catch up It's a wonderful read. I highly recommend it.
Hey there, my name is Mara from Books Like Whoa, and thank you to Bethany for asking me to collaborate. The book that I wanted to highlight to celebrate women this Women's History Month, I wanted to pick something that was just like truly a celebration, that is truly a joy, something that you can get like a hot mug of cocoa if you're somewhere cold, or like, I don't know, some sweet tea or a sangria or something if you're somewhere warm, and just like enjoy and spend time with an amazing woman who will just make you feel better about life. And that is My Life in France by Julia Child. This is her memoir of her time in France, and really this is documenting her falling in love with cooking, falling in love with the country of France, and just her passion for her husband and the people around her is also a huge part of this book. This is like joy, warmth, just embodied. And I think part of what I love about this in the context of Women's History Month is that cooking is always something that is very coded as women's work, or is often coded as women's work. But when it is professionalized, it then suddenly becomes coded as men's work. So she is doing woman's work in a man's world. And I think watching her engage in that process with such joy, I don't know, I just feel like she gives us a different model of what it means to be like a strong woman. And it is strength through passion, strength through happiness and enjoyment of the world around you. Also, the writing in this is absolutely beautiful. It is my favorite memoir I've ever read, and a giant in the 20th century who I think is just a delight to read about and very empowering. I find this a very empowering book as a woman. So that would be my recommendation. If you want to check me out, you can find me on BookTube, Goodreads, Instagram, Twitter at Books Like Whoa. And thanks again to Bethany.
Hi Bethany's channel, my name is Rachel and you can find me at my channel Reads with Rachel. Thank you so much to Bethany for asking me to be a part of this. The book that I'd like to talk about is Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls by Elena and Francesca Cavallo. So at first glance, yes, this technically is a book for kids. However, it really strikes a chord with me and I'm 27, so I think it's good for all ages. Yes, you can read it to your kids, but you can also get a lot out of it just being a person. Within this book are 100 stories of extraordinary women. There are short stories from everyone from Ruth Bader Ginsburg to Cleopatra to Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters. It's a really great book to read along with and also listen to the audiobook. It really enriches the story to hear it told by women's voices. Also, Alicia Keys does part of the audiobook and she is spectacular. I got so much out of this book, especially doing the physical copy along with the audiobook, and I recommend doing this if you're looking for more women to read about real women, nonfiction stories about their lives. This is a great jumping off point because you can find so many interesting women and interesting stories about them. Women who have done these extraordinary things, from literature to math and science to human rights, and you can find some and find more books on them. So it's a really great starting point if you're looking to read more about women's history. So that's my recommendation, and thank you again, Bethany, for asking me to be a part of this. Bye!
Hi, I'm Katrina and you can find me over at Fabulous Book Fiend on BookTube, my book blog, Twitter, Instagram, and the book that I would like to highlight is Renegade Women in Film and TV. This is non-fiction and it's done in the style of Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls. So you have a picture and information about each woman, and it features women like Barbara Walters, Mary Tyler Moore, Carol Burnett, and then more recent kind of renegade women like Ellen DeGeneres, like Salma Hayek, like Laverne Cox, like Amy Poehler. And it talks about the impact that all of these women have had on the film and TV industry, and why what they have done, what they have said, their actions are so important to the history of the TV industry. Obviously, as we get more modern, it kind of touches on the Me Too movement as well, and it's just a fab book and something which would make a great gift, but I enjoyed reading it in the run-up to the Oscars.
Hi everyone, it's Rachel with the Shades of Orange, and if you don't know, I read a combination of horror, science fiction, and fantasy. So naturally, in celebration of Women's History Month, I decided to recommend a historical horror novel. That is Dread Nation by Justina Ireland, which is actually a YA horror book, but I do think that it appeals to an adult audience because I normally read adult fiction. and this follows a young Black woman who is tasked with protecting a white privileged young lady because this book is set in the aftermath of the Civil War. However, this is an alternative history, so in this version of events, there was a zombie breakout that caused the end of the war, and things have just gone a little differently from there. Even if you're not normally a fan of zombie books, don't worry, this one is one that will likely still appeal to you. It's very character focused and of course deals with a lot of race issues, as well as has some great diverse representation in terms of sexuality, including Ace, which I don't see a lot. And it was just a really good story. It's not too gruesome, don't worry. It was just a lot of fun, the start of a series, and I would definitely recommend that one. So that is my pick for Women's History Month.
Hello, my name's Isabel and I'm from Happy For Now, a romance booktube channel. And I wanted to share Olivia Waite's The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics. It is a sapphic romance novel that came out last year, and it really does a great job fighting the patriarchy, exploring women's work in history and the erasure of it, along with valuing yourself outside of what is put on expectations. One of our characters is an embroiderer and an artist, and she does amazing work, but she views it as a craft and not an art. There's great discussions around this. Why are things that women do just a craft and not an art? Lucy is a great scientific character. We really get to see her come into her own and find her way, along with finding out that she's been doing a lot of the work for her father's scientific endeavors around mathematics. This is a delightful romance, and I can't recommend it enough for anyone looking for a sapphic option. I think this is a great pick for this month because it celebrates the work of women in history and can help you think about things that you maybe didn't realize happened and or explore them more in depth. I hope you decide to check it out.
Hey guys, it's Leanna. My channel is Leanna's Library, and I would like to talk to you today about Trevor Noah's mom. So I don't read a lot of historical fiction or historical nonfiction. I tend to read fantasy. That said, there are some incredible women in history. And to me, the most inspiring stories are the ones that are least often told. We get to hear about Queen Elizabeth. We get to hear about Harriet Tubman. And those are incredible females, of course they are. Because women so often in history were the ones just getting shit done and nobody was around to see it or to comment on it or to write about it. Because who's going to tell that story? It's not important. Fortunately or unfortunately, Trevor Noah is a dude, and he wrote this book. But this book that's about his own life and his own experience growing up during apartheid in South Africa, this book is an ode to his mother. His mother is the reason that Trevor Noah was ever in a position to write a book like this. If it wasn't for his mother, he would never have had this opportunity. The story that he tells about his mother, the stories he tells about his mother, are just one of the best examples that I've ever seen of women surviving and thriving and giving and being selfless and being strong in ways that only women can and only women have to be. All the stories that he tells about the police ignoring her if she was being beaten by a man because the police are men, and Trevor Noah realizing that he'd always thought that the cops were the cops. They're, white or black, but they're here to protect people, that they're to represent the law and justice. And to see that his mother was being beaten by an abusive man and the cops were men first. The fact that he realized that cops were men first and then cops. His mother, she didn't let it bring her down. There's so many things standing in her way. The fact that she's black during apartheid, the fact that her son is half white during apartheid, the fact that she doesn't have the money or the education or anything that she wants her son to have and that she thinks that he has a right to have. So she hustles. And that is so inspirational. And stories like hers are the ones that don't get told because they're the everyday strengths that she's not winning decisive battles in history as queen, creating entire cultural movements. She's being strong in her little corner of the world, and she's changing her little corner of the world. And that is inspirational in a way that a story of a queen can never be, because I will never be queen. You will never be queen. But you can make your own corner of the world better. If this woman can do it with everything that was standing in her way, well then what's our excuse?
I'm Alita, and I run a small YouTube channel called Allie Parker's World, where I like to talk about books. And I'm very new to the community, small in my subscriber count. I picked Emily Dickinson, and I actually have two of her books. I have the collected poems of Emily Dickinson and envelope poems of Emily Dickinson. So I chose Emily Dickinson because she is such a vital person in literature. If it weren't for her, I don't think that women would have as big of a place in the literature as we do, especially in the poetry realm. And it was very interesting to me that Emily Dickinson, like, she's big. Everyone knows who she is today. But in her time, no one knew her. And she did not get discovered until after she died. Thank you for watching this video.
Amazing. Thank you so much to everybody who participated and sent in your recommendations. I think there are some really great ones to pick from here. It was really cool seeing what everybody came up with. The other book that I want to recommend to you guys in honor of Women's History Month is another nonfiction that I loved. This is Monster, She Wrote, Women Who Pioneered Horror and Speculative Fiction by Lisa Kroger and Melanie R. Anderson. This is an incredible book, and it will also increase your TBR so much and make you want to read so many books in different areas of horror and speculative fiction, and it's just so fascinating to me. It's got different parts divided up, like the founding mothers, women who wrote pulps, haunting tales, paperback horror. So it traces the history of horror and speculative fiction and the women who are often not acknowledged for helping to create the genre, and then also offers bios of different people, like Elizabeth Gaskell, who I actually didn't know wrote in this genre at all. It's really interesting. You'll get a little bio of them, and then it'll give you a reading list of books by each author that are worth picking up, where you can get them. And I've got to tell you, this taught me so much. It was fascinating, and it also made me want to read all of the books. So if you're looking for something to celebrate women in history and women authors in history, this is a really great one. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got some brand new book recommendations to check out, and I hope you have a wonderful Women's History Month. I love the fact that there are more books coming out that are celebrating all of these amazing women throughout history who have done incredible things and have not always been recognized for the work that they have done. So I hope you go out and read some of these. Thank you so much to all of the people who participated in this and contributed. Of course, I will link all of their channels down below. Feel free to go and subscribe to them and check out content they're making in other places. Talk to me in the comments down below. Let me know any of your thoughts or feelings on any of the books that I or my fellow creators talked about. And for your question of the day, suggest what book you would recommend in honor of women in history. Again, this can be fiction or nonfiction, but what's a book that you thought was really great that would be a good addition to the list that we've compiled here? If you guys liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.